feel like I have the tools to help me mentally throughout this journey. I can do it in a way where I don't feel like shit about myself. Hating how you look on camera, hating how you sound on camera, the fear of being judged, these are all normal things for somebody starting out as a content creator. You're here today because you're looking for advice on how to overcome this. I want to share my story with you today because this used to be me. I used to be the girl that was not confident. I had no self-esteem, no self-worth, and it really took 4 years of me working on myself to get to this point today. The problem with not feeling confident on camera, from my point of view, it comes from within. It's not the technical aspects of, getting good at the skill of being on camera. It's actually how you feel about yourself on a day-to-day basis. Because if as you're filming, you're thinking negative thoughts in your head, like, I suck, I feel awkward, I look awkward, it's going to show up on film. What I want to share with you today is the strategies on what I did to overcome my camera shyness and be able to get to a point where I am standing here talking to you today, filming a YouTube video. To give you a little bit of background about myself, I have been in the entertainment industry since I was 15. I modeled when I was that age, and I also had a talent agent that got me work as an extra on movies like She's the Man, Two for the Money, and I have also been making content on social media for the last 4 years. What worked for me was something called exposure therapy, which means that I repeatedly expose myself to the fear until I became desensitized to it. Exposure therapy is part of cognitive behavioral therapy. It's basically doing behaviors to change kind of your thought patterns and way of thinking. So the first thing you need to do is to figure out why you're motivated to change, because the self-development journey is going to take time and it's going to be hard. There's going to be bumps in the road and times where you may feel like giving up. That's why having a really good reason of why you want to do it is very important. For me, in the very, very, very beginning of my self-development journey, mine was that I hated my job. I hated where I was in life, and I was in a super toxic work environment. I knew I needed a change. I didn't have the luxury of just quitting my job and looking for a new one or the perfect one when it came along. I had a mortgage to pay, I had bills to pay, so I was really backed into a corner and I had no choice. It had been so long since I had put myself out there that I had forgotten what to do, and the thought of putting myself out there completely terrified me because I didn't have the confidence to do so. I didn't think that I was worthy of having a good job where I was happy. But I remember in therapy, my therapist told me about exposure therapy, that I would just have to keep doing it, keep applying for jobs, doing the interviews, keep exposing myself to that fear that I had, which was basically performance anxiety, and it stems from not being confident about myself. I had to just keep doing it until it worked, basically. The first time I went in for an interview, I had a panic attack. I felt like I was hyperventilating and I couldn't breathe, and my palms were sweaty, my heart was racing, and I just wanted to run out of there. I pretty much said all of 5 words so that the interview could be done and I could just run out of there. And of course, I didn't get the job, but I didn't give up. I kept doing it again and again and again. I applied for probably about 200 jobs, and I went on a multitude of interviews. And I remember it felt horrible each time. Like, I would just have this extreme anxiety. I felt so uncomfortable. And then one day when I went into an interview, I actually felt good. I was able to relax. I was able to let my personality show, make some jokes. That was the day that I realized that it worked. And eventually I got a job. So how does this relate to being confident on camera? Working on yourself from within takes time to undo all of those patterns that have been wired in your brain for however long. If you've been thinking the same way for 5 or 10 years, if you've had the same negative thoughts going through your head for the last 5-10 years and you've never addressed them, it's going to take time to undo all of that. With practice and putting in the work, you can eventually get to a point where you actually feel good about yourself. And that relates to the camera confidence. The next step in this process is self-reflection. Self-reflection is basically asking yourself questions about yourself so that you can become more self-aware. And the reason you want to be more self-aware is because you can't really fix issues that you're not aware that you have. So let's go into ChatGPT and I'm going to show you how to self-reflect with AI. The prompt that you're going to put into ChatGPT is to ask ChatGPT to act as a psychologist with decades of experience in North America that specializes in helping content creators overcome barriers. You are very knowledgeable of the ins and outs of the content creator industry. You will provide advice tailored to the specific things that content creators encounter. You will be talking to me in a conversational tone when appropriate and providing information as needed when appropriate. Do you understand the instructions? So the reason why you want to ask ChatGPT if it understands the instructions is so that you can make sure you're on the same page. ChatGPT will give you a response to let you know what it thinks that you asked it to do. So the first thing we want to do is to get the AI to help us understand what our self-image setbacks may be or things that we want to work on for our self-image. Give me some good self-reflection questions to understand as a content creator why I lack confidence to go on camera, and self-reflection questions to help set goals on what to work on. The first thing here is your self-image. So some self-reflection questions are to understand how you would describe your self-image physically and in terms of abilities as a content creator, and to ask yourself if there are specific aspects of your appearance or presentation style that you find challenging. What I'm going to type in now is, can you help me figure this question out? So basically I just pasted the question into ChatGPT. How do you feel about your physical appearance? Are there aspects you appreciate and celebrate, and to focus on the positive aspects and what makes you feel good about yourself? What I think is important for myself is to make sure I work out every day, make sure I eat healthy. All those things contribute to me having a positive outlook on my body. Dressing in a way that boosts confidence, I think, is a good one as well when you're filming. For me, when I film YouTube, I make sure to put on my makeup and I'm wearing an outfit that I feel good about myself in for that day. I put in the effort to do that because it helps boost my self-esteem for filming. I'm going to put in a response to the body positivity question. I just want to show you guys how to go back and forth with the AI. What I'm going to say is that I don't like the way I look on camera. It's completely normal to feel uneasy about your appearance, and many content creators share the sentiment. The camera can be unforgiving and it's easy to become self-conscious. However, there are things that you can do to employ and build confidence and improve your comfort with your on-camera presence. Practicing regularly being on camera. I would say practicing regularly is super important, especially if you want to build up that skill and get used to seeing yourself on camera. It takes time to get used to seeing yourself on camera and knowing what to say on camera. I remember when I first started filming video for social media, I hated doing it because I've always felt super awkward on camera because I never knew what to say. And it was just really awkward because I would press the record button and then I would just like stare at the camera blankly and not know what to say. Or I would like say something but not have a concise understanding of what I was trying to portray, like, or what thoughts I was trying to convey on film. But I practiced. I kept practicing until I felt comfortable enough where I could actually film myself talking on camera. So that takes time. And I also recommend playing it back, you have to watch yourself on film. It's very important. That's the only way that you will get better. You need to watch yourself and really have an honest take on what things you see that need improvement. To give you an example, I film myself a lot, and I film myself when I do voiceovers as well. And I'm told that I'm like naturally really flirty. I'm not trying to flirt with people. I think either I'm being silly and joking, or I think I'm being like charming or whatever, but it comes across that way. And I didn't realize how bad it came across that way until I saw myself on film. I'm recording a voiceover with my friend, and he's asking me to talk into the mic, and I'm saying hello.
You talking there first?
Hello, Jay.
And just the way that I said it was super flirty. And I didn't actually realize this until I played it back, and I was like, oh my God. I sound really flirty because I was wondering, he was giving me like a reaction. He kept saying, oh my God. And I was like, why is he saying that? Like, I don't understand what's happening. But when I played it back, I really saw that, like, holy crap, you sound like you're flirting with him.
You talking?
How's your day going?
Oh my God. This is an indication of this section.
Watching yourself back is really important. It will help you grow. Point number 2, what ChatGPT says, is to focus on your message. Shift your focus away from how you look and concentrate on the content you're delivering. Remember that your audience is tuning in for the value of your message rather than scrutinizing your appearance. I think this is a great tip because I remember when I was doing PowerPoint presentations at work, it was just me solo hosting the entire PowerPoint presentation by myself in front of all of the leadership, including all of top leadership, the whole office, which was like 100 people. I remember just being so nervous. I had already thought of 5 horrific scenarios in which I would embarrass myself. I was sweating profusely. My palms were sweating. My heart was racing. I remember telling myself to focus on getting through the PowerPoint presentation, getting through the slides, just reading out all the things on the slide. I came across very confident and calm and eloquent, whatever. I got a lot of compliments, but inside I was freaking the out. The fact that I made myself focus on the message, which was delivering the PowerPoint, was really helpful for me because I just had to narrow in on what I was doing instead of just like the fear. I don't know if it was fear, but like I guess there was a little fear. Everyone was like watching me, so like the fear of making a mistake, I guess, in front of everyone. The fact that I made myself focus on the message was very helpful for me. Passions and interests. What topics or niches are you most passionate about? Identify the subjects that genuinely spark interest, as creating content in areas that you love often results in more authentic and engaging material. I definitely feel that's 100% true because I have filmed a variety of different content. I have filmed modeling content, talking about model releases, which was ultra dry. And then I've also filmed content where I teach people how to pose as a model. And just noticing the difference between the 2 videos. The modeling one with the model release, I look absolutely bored. But the one about posing, I am all energetic and smiling or whatever. So it does make a difference. You don't know until you try it. What I recommend is to write down what all of your passions and interests are, and then try to narrow it down to maybe like three of those that you can just talk about forever. So really try and notice, like next time you're talking to your bestie or whatever, like what do you guys talk about that you can talk about forever? The best way to do this is to make a quick note as soon as you realize. So let's say you're on the phone with your friend and you guys are talking about whatever topic that you guys normally like to talk about. And then you realize that, oh, this is one of my topics. Like we've been talking about this for an hour. I absolutely love talking about this topic. Make a note right then and there. because if you don't, you might forget. So that's how you can kind of start to realize what your interests actually are. The next thing is skills and strengths. List the skills and strengths that you believe you possess as a content creator. This could include storytelling, editing, communication, research, or any other relevant skills. Let's say I had a skill that I was unsure of if it was a good skill for being a content creator. I'm going to ask the AI. So let's say regarding my skills and strengths, I'm just making this up because I can't think of anything substantial, but I have experience with PowerPoint presentations. Is this a skill that is related to being a content creator? So ChatGPT has validated me and is telling me that absolutely, experience with PowerPoint presentations is indeed a valuable skill for content creators. So now I feel good about myself. ChatGPT just gave me a whole bunch of ideas, 8 ideas to be precise, how my PowerPoint skills can help me with being a content creator. I'm just showing you by me asking ChatGPT this question how you can go back and forth with the AI to help self-reflect and figure out things. So the next one here is about the inner critic. What does your inner critic say when you think about going on camera? Are there reoccurring negative thoughts, and are these thoughts based in reality or do they stem from self-doubt? I'm just going to tell ChatGPT that I think I suck and I feel awkward because I don't know what to say. I don't know how to tell if my thoughts are based on reality or if they stem from self-doubt. Can you help me understand this? It's not uncommon for individuals to feel a sense of self-doubt or awkwardness when they're not sure what to say on camera. This could be influenced by various factors such as fear of judgment, uncertainty about the content, or comparing oneself to others. Believe it or not, I still struggle with this actually. Filming YouTube is really hard. Learning how to educate is something that I've never done before. A lot of the time when I come on camera and I film, some of the time I don't know what I'm saying. And like I stare blankly at the camera. I feel awkward sometimes. I actually do. That is something that I am still working on. What I tell myself is that you're going to suck in the beginning. So just accept that you suck. And I'm talking to myself, by the way, not you. But accept that you suck and that you have to keep sucking until you don't anymore. So basically, I have to just keep practicing and keep filming until my content is good and it makes sense and I'm teaching things in a logical order that I feel like makes sense. But sometimes when I film, even now, I don't know if the way that I'm educating you guys makes any sense. That's kind of what is running through my head as I film this. Another good one, point number 4, is to challenge negative thoughts. Challenge your negative thoughts by consciously identifying and questioning them. Are these thoughts rooted in genuine shortcomings, or are they fueled by a fear of not meeting unrealistic expectations? Acknowledging that everyone has a learning curve can help normalize the fear of not being entirely comfortable at the beginning. For me, my thoughts are fueled by definitely a shortcoming because I'm still new to this and I'm learning how to educate. Ooh, do I have unrealistic expectations? Absolutely. I think I'm the kind of person, I have very high expectations of myself, and a lot of the time they're not rooted in reality whatsoever. And I'm very hard on myself, and a lot of that stuff stems from childhood. I am very self-aware of how I am to myself. Because I'm self-aware, I have the opportunity to work on those things. I don't know, issues is the right word, but like to work on what I see needs improvement. That might be a better way to say it. I don't think I give myself the grace to not be good at the beginning. Like I think I just expect that like, oh, you've never educated before, but like you're gonna be able to do it well. So yeah, I don't have realistic expectations, but that's my answer to that one. I think for me in the beginning, when I heard the positive affirmations to do that, I felt fake about it. Like I didn't believe the positive affirmations. So for me, that didn't work. Like telling myself I'm awesome and all these things, it just wasn't believable at the time because I wasn't in that space. When it did work, when the positive affirmations did work for me, was when I actually worked on myself and was able to prove to myself that, hey, you did this action and then you got this result, and that was positive. And I repeatedly was able to show myself that continuously until I believed that I was capable of doing this, I was capable of doing that. The next part is setting goals for improvement. For specific challenges, point number 1, what specific aspects of being on camera do you find most challenging? Meaning speaking clearly, maintaining eye contact, body language. So let's say you didn't know how to answer this question and you wanted ChatGPT to brainstorm with you. I'm going to type in, help me understand what are the common things that someone would find challenging about being on camera as a beginner. Give me a list in bulletin format. Here's a list that you can take and ask yourself if these are one of the ones that you have challenges with. Feeling self-conscious about yourself, discomfort or dissatisfaction with your voice, having performance anxiety about being judged or evaluated by others, fear of making mistakes or not meeting expectations. I definitely still have this one. Even as I film this, I'm like, oh God, I don't know if is this confusing the way that I'm doing this? Am I making a mistake with how I'm doing it? So like definitely I have this one for sure. There's a whole list here and just going through them, asking yourself these questions, see if any of these are the ones that you struggle with and then writing it down. And hopefully me giving you these examples of kind of what I would say about some of these helps you to understand how to self-reflect. In this time that we have AI, we're very fortunate to be able to have like the super computer brain that can help give us information that we normally wouldn't think of or be able to think of. That's why I like using it, and that's why I want to teach this to you guys. The next thing that you will need is time, which is probably the hardest thing in this journey, especially if you want to see certain results or you might be expecting results sooner rather than later. For me in this self-development journey, 8 years ago was when I started, was when I made that first move to get out of the job that I hated, and I really subjected myself to the horrible feelings of anxiety that I had to go through, all the emotions that I had to go through to get a different job. It has been 4 years since I started on social media and started on this journey of eventually to where I am now, being a content creator, finally figuring out what was the thing that I wanted to focus on. So it's going to take time. I didn't really think about the time aspect when I started. I think if you tell yourself, oh my God, I can't wait 8 years, I can tell you it was worth every bit of time that I spent doing it. Because if you really think about it, getting to a place where you feel comfortable in your own skin, that will serve you for the rest of your life. And it's not just like you do it and you get to a certain point and then you're done. Self-development is a lifelong journey. I'm at the point now where I feel comfortable being myself. I cannot tell you how freeing that feels. I remember I used to surround myself with people that would tell me things like, don't say that, you'll sound stupid, don't do that, that's weird, nobody does it that way. I remember just being afraid to be myself. I felt like I had to filter myself. I feel like who I really was sucked and that nobody would like me. And it took me a really long time of going through all these little steps repeatedly in all different areas of my life that I felt I needed help with. And it took all of that to get to where I am now. And I finally feel like I'm no longer trapped in my own body and that I can be myself and I'm happy. if I were to do it again, I'd do it again 100 times. Even though it took me 8 years from the very, very first thing that I did to where I got to now, I would do it again 100 times. Because now that I feel comfortable in my own skin, I feel like I can really tackle this thing that I've wanted since I was 15. And I can do it in a way where, I didn't think I'd get emotional, but I can do it in a way where I don't feel like about myself, and like it actually feels good, and I feel like I have the tools to help me mentally throughout this journey, because it's not easy, you know, being a content creator and getting the world's opinion and critique and everything. It's not easy, and dealing with the fact that sometimes you're a commodity, and being constantly compared to other people, especially when I audition for things like commercials or modeling or whatever. I'm constantly being compared to other people, and just having a healthy way to look at everything. It's what helps me not go crazy in this journey. And honestly, I love being creative. Like, it's always what I wanted to do since I was 15. The fact that I can live out my childhood dream now is like crazy. I've worked really hard to get to this place where I feel good about doing it now. I think it's worth it. I hope I said something today that helped. If there's anything specific that you want to see in the future content, let me know as well. Leave a comment.